Hello and welcome to this video. Today we will be exploring some demonic skin. It has been requested a lot by my followers on Instagram that they want to see how I do it, so they can get inspired to do something similar themselves. So today we will be doing that. This is of course a finished model, and I will not be focusing on anything but the skin. So that is the focus of today. So let's put him aside and pick up a fresh one. This I have just primed with an AK rust primer. It has nothing to do with rust, but it is a beautiful brown color. It suits this skin really great. And then the next part of the process is simply to do a heavy zenithal highlight from a 45-degree angle on top of the model. See if you can go like this. And then you will get some neat transitions like this. It's not all important that you do this, but it will make some of the shading a lot easier for the process we are doing. So the first step of painting the actual miniature is doing a Citadel Drakenhof Nightshade. So let's do a little mix of this, because we won't be using it unthinned. It will be too dark. So we just pour a tiny bit. Actually, this is not a tiny bit for one miniature, but it will have to do. Then we do about a 50-50 of a thinner. You could use water if that's what you have. But the most important thing is a few drops of flow improver. And the flow improver is a retarder, because that means that it slows down the drying process and the staining process. So you have more time to move the paint around the miniature before it starts staining and putting unwanted marks on the miniature. So now we just put a fast and easy layer on top of him. You don't have to be fancy or super careful. Just make sure it doesn't pool too much in one space. And once that is done, it will just have to dry before we are putting on the next layer. So you don't have to see that process of me just painting the rest of this miniature. It's very easy. Nothing fancy, nothing difficult in the technique. Just more or less slobber it over. And if you do put too much on, just take it off again before it dries. That's it. I'll just finish him and leave it to dry, and then we will come back to the next part of the process. Welcome back. You can see that the blue is all dry now. So we are ready to continue. The next color we will be putting on is another wash from Citadel. We can get it to focus. It's Carroburg Crimson. And of course, as always, I will put all the paints in the description of the video. And just like before, we do the same recipe. You can change the recipe if you want to, if you want a darker or a lighter color. Then you can put more or less thinner in it. And again, the flow improver. And again, it's one of the more important ingredients, and then the thinner. And again, you can use water if you want to. Same mixture as before, around 50-50 all in all. will just quickly mix it. And then just like before, we will just do it all over the miniature. Or at least the area that we want covered with it. Of course we won't be doing it on the sword, etc. And again, all you have to be careful is where the wash will eventually pool, because the flow improver will give you more than enough time to move the paint around to where you actually want it to be. And then we just cover the entire miniature. And just like before, it's not a very interesting or demanding process. There's no real skill involved with it. So I will just leave it here. See if we can get it to focus. It's very dark in the video today, but I will keep covering the miniature. Let it dry, completely dry again as I did the other layer, and then come back to put on the final layer. I will also just paint in all the detail. I won't show that to you either, because it's not very important for this video, because we're working on the skin. So see you when it's dry and ready to continue. He is all dry. I have plugged in some of the detail work, so he's ready for the next part. You see right now he's all very blue and purplish, or some dark red or something. So if you were playing Slaanesh, you could more or less stop now. But since we are doing Khorne and I want him a bit more reddish, then we will put on some oil paints. This one is a 502 Abteilung, warm red. Of course I will put it in the description. But now we will just make a small mixture, because this needs to be thinned a bit. Depending on how many you're painting, you don't really need all that much. See if we can get it to focus. This is more or less what I want, and that is actually for 3 miniatures, not just one, because I'm painting more than one. And then just some white spirit. And of course, as always, if you are using thinners, you really should be using a mask to soak up some of all those poisonous fumes. But since I'm making a video, it's not really an option, as you wouldn't be able to understand what on earth I'm saying. And then we just mix it up all neatly. You can see it's a very thin mixture. And then, just like a typical wash, you put it all over the miniature. Try to make sure that you only hit the areas that you want to be stained with this red. It doesn't really matter that much if you accidentally get it on the armor or anywhere else, because you can just remove it again when all the white spirit has dissolved. And then you just go here very simply. Very, very super fast process. And then when this is done, I will leave him to dry for about an hour or so. That is how I like to do it. You can start wiping it off now if you want to, but I like the red to dry a little bit and really stain the miniature. And there we go. As you can see, that was super simple. Now we'll just leave him to dry, and then I will come back and we will do a reductionary strategy, technique where we will remove all the red that we do not want on the miniature. So for you it will be about a second, but for me it will be about an hour. See you then. Now we're back again. The bloodletter has dried a little bit. So now he looks like a pinkish red. That is perfectly fine. That's what you want. You can still just rub off the paint, and that is actually what we're going to do now. But we will just be using some enamels, white spirits, and we will be using some simple and cheap makeup sponges. Then we will just slowly rub off the paint, the oil paint we don't want. So we just take a very small amount of spirits and put it on a plate. Then dab the sponge in it very lightly. Don't overdo it. You just swab the entire miniature in fluids, and that will just ruin the entire point of using an oil paint. So now we will just simply rub the miniature. And again, I'm just doing this fairly quickly because I'm so used to doing it that I do not really think about it anymore. If you're new to it, then just take it very slow and do yourself a favor. If you're doing more than a few minutes, then use a mask to absorb some of those poisonous fumes from the white spirits, because they will really kill your brain cells and give you a massive headache if you work with them for too long. There we go. And we're almost done with this miniature. We'll of course make some better pictures when he's finished up, when I've painted his weapon, etc., eyes and teeth. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. Still dark, but it's okay. Well, that's it. There's not much to this technique. It's very easy and almost anybody can do it. But if you like the video, feel free to comment, throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. If you have any requests, feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll see if I can accommodate you. Other than that, I hope I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for now. Bye bye.